What's up, we have Sportsman Lamont. We back. Another podcast episode, another reaction video that I got for you guys today. Wanted to talk about this. We find ourselves talking about the GOAT conversation a lot. And you know, here on FYF Sports, we are really big on not necessarily your list or who you label as the GOAT. It's the criteria and the consistency of your criteria in how you label whoever your GOAT is, whether it's Kareem, whether it's Jordan, whether it's LeBron, whether it's any other player. As long as your criteria consistently fits across the board, then, you know, it's fine. We'll accept the list. And I think with regards to criteria, I was listening to Isiah Thomas. Isiah was asked who the GOAT was, and he clearly outlines his criteria. He clearly outlines his GOAT, and then he specifies why this player is his GOAT based on his criteria. I think it's a beautiful breakdown, and it's a lesson to you guys out there when you come into these live streams. Don't necessarily come into these live streams blurting out names just because you like them, but you don't really have any substance behind it. Make sure you're prepared to back up any claims or players that you list with logic and with some type of criteria that makes sense. You know, we come in here, we see people say Jordan because he's 6-0. And then when people contend that logic with Bill Russell, we see how they try to evade and scamper around these questions, complaining and crying about Bill Russell's competition, yet they don't know who Bill Russell played against. So again, I want you guys to check out this video. It's Isiah Thomas. He's being asked about who he believes is the GOAT of the NBA. Check this out.
LeBron or Michael?
Well, I'm going to say neither. Best scorer, I would say Jordan is a better scorer. Better all-around player is LeBron James. To me, the greatest player to ever play the game that I've seen is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Arguably the best basketball career ever. From grade school to high school to college to the NBA, there has never been a more dominant player that I've ever seen. Okay, and then you go into the NBA when you talk about the most points, the most rebounds.
And I like a lot of the sentiments that Isiah Thomas laid out right there. Obviously, his ultimate criteria was the word dominance, which is very subjective to many. And you possibly could argue how he framed dominance. But when he framed dominance in the context of Kareem was the most dominant grade school, high school, college, and then going into the NBA during his time, the most dominant as well, ultimately ended up being the all-time NBA's leading scorer, multiple championships, multiple MVPs, finals MVPs all over the place. The man was extremely dominant on every level during his time. And so when you talk about dominance, I know some people, like when they talk about Jordan's dominance, they're just talking about that 10-year span of the 90s. Isiah Thomas, he's referring to dominance as what you did from start to finish. Dominant on every single level. And whether you agree or disagree with his sentiments, you have to respect the fact that he's molded and formed his ideology about who the GOAT is out of some type of framework that's consistent. And it's not just about just throwing Jordan at the top because I watched him through that area, or just throwing LeBron at the top because I grew up during that era. He actually had some type of logic that could potentially be debated, but it's much harder to debate people who have the framework to their logic put together. They have their list put together. He used LeBron and Jordan as examples, but then ultimately explained why he had Kareem as the GOAT. This is how we need to start debating, you guys. Because lately, a lot of you guys have been coming up on the panel, very sloppy logic, very sloppy debate styles. It's been times people come up and start saying things and say, I don't have the information to back it. I mean, you guys have, over the last couple of live streams, you guys watched the guy Brandon come up and just chat. And when it comes time to start displaying the facts, when we start asking, okay, where's the evidence to support this comment and that comment? And then all of a sudden, we start looking at the facts and there's nothing supporting some of the things that they say, we now have to start questioning all of your logic on everything. And I think that's one of the things is you start to lose your credibility when you don't formulate some type of criteria that shapes your logic. Formulate your criteria first, allow it to mold and shape your logic, and do not waver on who falls into your logic. If a player that you don't like falls into your logic and you have to place him there, place him there. If a player that you like falls there, place him there. But at the end of the day, it's only going to make you more credible in a lot of these debates. But you guys, let me know your thoughts on Isiah Thomas. Obviously, he has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the GOAT. I know many of you guys might disagree with that, but at the end of the day, I do respect that he has some type of logical consistency there that helps him formulate his arguments in that particular conversation. But as FYF Sportsman, it's been another great podcast episode. Make sure you guys are continuing to watch for our live streams. We will be going live 3 to 4 times a week. Morning shows are going to be back, so make sure you guys are tuning in to check us out at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. For most people here on the West Coast, it's probably going to be 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're on the East Coast or in the Midwest. But salute to you guys. Definitely appreciate you for pulling up to watching. We're going to be back with more sports and news. Until then, it's FYF Sports, and we out.
I'm on no fixer. I'm gon' ball no picker. That I ate doors they live for. Talking on my back, go figure. Whole team eats from splitter. Never was the one to go flicker. No face, no case, no pictures. Full place, big stakes, my dinner. Flip that, Canal Street. Flip back. Last week, old money. This week, new racks. Never buy none more. If I can't afford to gift wrap.